Welcome to Disclosure Now with Arkheim. Today I'm here with Penny Bradley, who is my biological mother. I think I'll just start off the show with that. Um, she's been doing her show Nacht Waffen Pilot for years. How many years, Penny?
Uh, 2018.
So since 2018, when I started getting my memories back, I found her. It took us a while to figure out the whole lineage thing because I have parents in the here and now that you would think takes you a minute to figure out that they could not be your actual parents. Set up these artificial lives. Don't mean to get too deep into it too fast, but essentially we both experience the same things. Getting kidnapped as children, programmed in really terrible MK Ultra programs. Um, being tasked to open portals, to go through portals, and also eventually, due to these abilities that we had the abilities to the ability to fly starships. And the reason why I wanted to have this conversation with Penny in particular is because I recently got these memories back, a set of memories about a life that I lived where I was piloting a starship, or I opened the portals, I guess. Um, and they're pretty interesting memories. And I kind of wanted to compare them to Penny's memories.
Okay.
Um, so you were in Nacht Waffen, which is like a German space military,
Yeah,
and they got you contracted through the Americans. Is that correct?
that's correct. The Americans were who kidnapped me when I was 4, took me to Langley for mind fracture and preliminary training, and turned me over to the Germans on Mars when I was 9. I was not put into service until I was 19.
Okay, so um, I've went through similar things working with the space militaries and things like that. And the memory that I got back um, was, and this is the first time that I've ever talked about this publicly. Um, I was on a starship and I opened portals. I believe there was like a navigator, and it wasn't necessarily like this is a kind of like pilot would be maybe a loose term, but I opened the portals and navigated them through. And I remember you saying, well, when I found your testimony, it sounded like you weren't treated very good when you did that job. Is that correct?
It wasn't that I wasn't treated good, it was that in the German fleet, Nacht Waffen, um, the Navigator drinks black goo, so you're not entirely human after that. You're infested with an AI. I had a brain chip that connected me to the ship's computer, and that made me even less human and a complete security risk. So any telepath that got within working distance would be able to access the entire ship's computer. So I was kept inside a telepathically screened area where normal human telepaths could not access me. It was
So like a
alone,
Faraday cage almost of telepathic thought.
close to that. It allowed me to access the crew when we came out of hyperspace to make sure nobody was in a wall or a bulkhead or a tarmac or some object that they were near. But at the same time, it didn't allow others to access me. And So I was only like a human shell to an AI. And most of the time I was partnered with Matt Tracy. You've done shows with him.
Was he the Navigator?
We were both navigators. It was in the German fleet, it's shift work. So one of us would start it as the other one came on for shift. We would have some overlapping time to share the work. And then you'd go off duty and the other person would have it, because we traveled places that it took more than one shift to get there.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
so he was my relief person.
Yeah, I think your memories of what would be a lot more clear. Mine came in like a download, almost is what how I would explain it. But the first memory in this download, which was confusing to me, and it felt almost like I was on like an alien ship or something, is it was me and it was four other people, and we were in this like weird white room, and we were on like beds, cots, and they were all facing the middle of the room, and in the middle of the room there was this little hole like thing in the floor, and that was where you could poop and pee for when you woke up, and you'd wake up in like a daze, and it felt very much like aliens made it or something, because it wasn't that comfortable for a human to use the bathroom there, but you could do it, and I just remember that I was there for a long time, and with these other people, and they had me on an IV of some sort or something like that, and I didn't know what was going on in the memory when I was getting the memories back. It was really confusing to me. But then when the memories came in, I think that was part of like the modern version of how they train people. Like it has something to do with activating your psychic abilities and getting you ready or something. I don't know what it was, but it was
Yep.
really blurry. It was like felt like a dream, and I think it's because I literally was, even though it's memories or whatever, I think I literally was like on drugs and stuff. Like they had me on some sort of batch of certain drugs that probably help activate your abilities, and I think I was there for months. That
That's
was the first memory I got back. Does that sound familiar, or like do you kind of maybe
that,
understand sort of what was
that's
going on there?
that's not how I was trained or activated. My generation, they did it completely SRA style. So we
Mm-hmm.
went through the actual punishment. We we reached a point where you were so tired of the crop that you had to learn to bilocate to escape. And that was the preliminary ability that was required to be able to fly the ship. Now, somewhere along the 1980s, they decided that they were losing too many of us, that we were too valuable of assets to be killed during training, and that we only had like a 2% survival rate. And that means they'd have 1,000 kids and maybe 20 of us would survive.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that we're elaborating on here with our kind of collaborative testimony is, I think my testimony here of later generation, I think they got it down into a level where they weren't having it so half the people that went through more than half the people that went through the program to try to do this died, right? Because it's
Yeah,
like you said, there's a lot of money they spend and a lot of time and energy and resources, and as terrible as it is, I mean, the fact that the people are losing their lives should be the reason why this should be such a big deal. But it's all about resources and dollars for them, so that's probably the real reason why they started caring.
no.
But regardless,
Now, in Nacht Waffen, I have been required to retrain people who were brought to us because the Americans thought they were trained. And then they would get to us and they couldn't fly our ships. So I have been required to put people through that SRA training to make them learn to bilocate, because the training in the American programs is not teaching them that anymore. They're learning everything else except the bilocation. And so that's they can open portals, they can do all the telepathy, they can do all the other stuff, but they cannot bilocate. And they if they can't bilocate, they sure as hell are not taking physical objects with them, which is what the Germans used to fly the ship through hyperspace. They
Yeah, I think
don't.
we use a similar technology, the same exact technology. But I recall it being more like, I'm sure maybe, I don't know my whole life, so I got to be real. Maybe there was some SRA programming in this life beforehand, or I was pulled out of Montauk or something. I don't
Mm,
know. This life is like one another artificial life that I was put into. I'm sure someone paid money to get my DNA and my consciousness and have me do what I did, or they
probably.
extracted me somehow. Because I have the ability to fly starships. I can do that. If I can open portals and all, if they saw my
Yeah,
file, they would know. So I
yeah.
think this is an artificial life that they kind of made. The details are blurry, but I remember, like I said, that weird program with those 4 other guys, and we were there for a while, and it was like sort of like they're programming us, getting us ready. I think bilocating was part of it, honestly. But like I said, the memory's kind of
Bilocating
blurry.
Bilocating is the core function why there has to be a navigator, because the ship and the computer cannot do that on their own. Um, that was why they had to genetically modify the people to become navigators, is because humans didn't did not have that capability. All of the navigators prior to my generation were extraterrestrials,
Yes,
either Draco or Greys. And so they actually used Draco DNA to modify mine through a process they're today calling CRISPR. And it made it where that my personal DNA was permanently changed, and it was so I could bilocate and take objects with me. And this was found when I was sent to Montauk in 1961, which
and they
was,
began with apples and small objects,
yeah,
and then you work your way up to starships.
yes,
It's incredible, isn't it?
it is. On Mars, I was flying just regular plasma engine, what would be jets on Earth. And some of the technology we used there is just now becoming available on Earth. And I'm going, I flew one of those. And people think I'm nuts.
Yeah, yeah. There's quite a few people who think we're crazy still, but there's also a lot more people who are believing us and waking up to the fact that we're telling the truth every single day.
Uh,
Um, my memories of this program, this life, were how I always have emotional memories, and that was really what it was. So the term, like the way I did everything, wasn't maybe remembered as much as one of the memories that I got back was going through the portal, the wild feeling of all of that, getting to the other side, being extremely wiped out,
yeah,
and feeling like kind of like buzzy, like your whole body's like buzzy feeling, like
yes.
static electricity almost.
For me, it was like part of me was left in that dimension we traveled through.
Yeah, and it's like grounding itself back into you slowly. It's like a
Yeah.
going back into you.
And it takes time to recover the personal energies to be able to do it again. And that's part of why they had two of us.
Hmm. That makes sense. I don't remember we probably had two as well. I like it's kind of like what I would call video memory, where I had all these memories come in. I can't go back in and look around. Does that make sense? So I have the memories I have, the batch that came in. I right now that it's like an altar that I don't. You know what I mean? Like maybe I'll be able to get there. We'll see. As if maybe I'll alter out into that person or
Can
something in this
can you
interview. But
can you go into trance without altering out, without
I don't
drugs?
know. I don't know.
Try that. work on trying to go into a trance state where you're separated from reality here. That's mine, sorry.
It's okay. It happens.
Okay. I have a flip phone and it decided just now to have to call.
Now,
Anyway,
the thing that I have a question for you. I'm really interested with this. I remember them clapping when we get to the other. I remember them clapping when we would get to the other side of the portal. Sometimes. Did they ever do
um,
that for you?
no, no, it was the crew had no idea what it took to pull it off. So
That's and I had a feeling that was a huge difference between you and I, because me being able to do that and having that ability, I was known on the ship, and I was kind of like a sort of, in a way, people were freaked out by it, but also sort of a celebrity. Does that make sense? Like simultaneously, like if people thought it was
yeah,
freaky, but also there were people, and I remember. So I'm just gonna kind of go into the memories that I got, because I want to give you context for this life, who I was, and also the people watching this. Um, I remember there was a blonde woman with a southern accent that I fell in love with. I believe that I had like a English accent, maybe. So that's something. But she had a southern accent, and I believe she was like from like Louisiana or something like that. Don't
okay.
remember exactly where, but I know she had a southern accent. And yeah, I fell in love with this woman, and we had the whole thing where we got severance pay and we could retire, and it was advertised to you that you could live a life on a nice breakaway planet. They did not explain to you how everything operated. You're in the
Yeah,
military, you're doing military stuff. It's all, don't ask, don't tell. You do your job, you stay zeroed in on that, focused in on that, accomplishing the goals, that the
yeah,
tasks that they give to you, feeling good about that. And then once you get out of it, they're like, all right, we give you a home. I was going to be a dentist. They gave me the training so I could be a dentist. I was going to get a good amount of money, good amount of pay for being a dentist. And I just now live on air had a weird realization about something. I have a cousin who's in the Navy who's a dentist, who's like, never mind. That's a whole nother. That's an whole other maybe private conversation. I shouldn't talk about that
yeah,
publicly, because people could maybe figure that out, and I don't want to.
yeah.
Anyway,
We don't want to
that's a whole
expose
can of worms. I'll open up
we,
later.
we don't want to expose people who are not public.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want people to be able to
E-
figure that
even
out.
even people who are public get upset when you talk about things they don't remember doing.
Yeah. Anyway, what I remember is we had to sign a non-disclosure agreement once we got down to the surface,
Mm.
and
I don't remember signing any of those. So
it basically was like how it is on Earth, and you know how they say, they tell you well, it's a very common in this testimony. I was on this breakaway planet, I was on Ceres or wherever else, and they said that the Earth exploded. Well, that was kind of
yeah,
the thing that
yeah,
was going on, is they were lying about everything, and the people I don't think knew on the planet like about the space military at all, or the fact that there are other planets, and they didn't tell us that until we were already basically going there. And I remember this becoming an object of contention between me and my wife, and we had a son who we could not tell our own son by law. And I mean, he's a kid, so he's gonna tell his friends if we do say anything. We
yeah.
literally couldn't tell him that we were from fucking a starship, and we were from another planet and stuff. And we just had to act like we were from there. And it caused problems
Yeah,
between me and my wife,
it
having
does
to
cause
lie.
it. The constant lying does cause problems. That's part of why they remove our memories when they send us back, is so we can blend in. But it leaves this what don't I know? What don't I know? And
Mhm.
you have anomalies even with the memories blocked. And I had anomalies of I used to have these recurring nightmares really vivid nightmares of an ugly blonde child going through the wall and coming out a cabinet door. And I would wake up screaming. I had no idea what this was. And then when my memories came back, I remembered in Langley, the real story was there had been a hole made in the wall and they would shove me in as a child and then they would screw a plywood piece over it and leave me there to suffocate.
Mm-hmm.
So the real memory was close enough that this was how my subconscious popped it through trying to make me remember. So your subconscious will undermine their blockages, but without the real memory, you don't know how to heal it. You don't know how to resolve the situation. And these people that are blocking our memories don't have any clue about that. And so it's like this constant battle in your own mind, and then multiply that by how many altars they've given you.
Yeah, which I'm learning more, like just so many every day.
Well, I ran across a book by Stuart Swerdlow. It's called 13 Cubed, and it's a set of case studies of people like us who had problems, and he goes through and he talks about it. But the core theme of the book is that when they start the mind fracture process, that it automatically creates a 13 by 13 by 13 cubic hierarchical array, just like in a computer. And that these agencies are literally selling altars and tissue samples so they can make a clone to pop you into. And
Exactly.
that's what you're calling these artificial lives, because the altar only knows from the time it was created, and only has the life experience of how often it's been out. So it once and a lot of people think that these altars have separate lives, but what I found, I went into trance and actually looked at my memories. And they are transferring my entire consciousness into a clone and then activating the altar they wanted. So, and for the duration of that time, my original body, the me that's here, is sitting in a stasis tank the whole time. So once they kill that clone, I pop back into my original body, and then they send me back to within 5 minutes of when they took me. And trust me, it took a lot of energy to follow that path to figure out what was actually happening. And I have been awake during the process. And can can I do a? Let me find the photo, and it's not an actual photo; it's a drawing, and it's where someone did artwork of the. Okay. Now I need the screen share.
All right, hold on
That would be settings. Nope. Is that it? Yes, there it is. Share screen. Yes. And it's not showing me. Okay. I guess I can't. Okay. I can send you the drawing in email. Okay. It'll take a minute.
Okay.
I can talk during, but the process takes a few minutes, and you go in. You're in a tank, and it's you, and there's a bzzz where you're dizzy, and okay, and then you're in the other tank, and you should be getting it any time now. You're in the other tank, and you're looking back at your own body in the first tank. And people need to know that clone body may not be the same as you are. It can be the opposite gender. It can be modified to be another species. It can be modified to be a cyborg. Yeah. You start off with the tank on the left, and you get the zzz, and then you're in the tank on the right, and those two bodies may not match. So a lot of us have spent entire lifetimes as the other gender.
I've
So
been dealing with that lately a little bit.
yeah, it can be real confusing to come back to Earth and feel like you're in the wrong body because you've spent lifetimes in the opposite gender, and you don't have conscious memory of it. So it can be really confusing. We also have people with the what the Native Americans call two spirit. So this is not a new thing. This is not something that suddenly has popped up. It's just they stopped killing those people is all. Uh,
Yeah.
Europeans are very European descent
Binary.
people. They're very binary, and they get downright hostile if you express anything else. And I tend to be told I'm a very masculine woman, and it's because I have alters who are active and they are in male bodies in patriarchal societies. And I do get some bleed over from it.
Yeah. I deal with the same thing on the opposite end of the spectrum. I am curious again. So this is what the consciousness transfer looks like in this picture.
Yes, this is what the technology looks like. And this is artwork. This was someone who experienced it and drew it. And I looked at
Um,
that and went, "Oh, wow."
is the consciousness passing through a computer? Is that what this device in the middle is right here with the guy
Yes,
sitting at
it's
it?
the consciousness is passing through the cables in between and the device in between. And the agent who is going to take control over the clone and consciousness is there at the doorway waiting to take you. And the gel in both of these is a yellow color. And when I saw this, I was like, oh no, someone has actually survived this.
Yeah. No, it's definitely something else to look at
Yeah.
and kind of think about. It's very much so. I imagine what it looked like at Montauk. Um, you know, Preston talked about how they took the consciousness out and sent it through a computer.
So you've heard the description. I saw this and went, "Wow, this is what I experienced."
Mm-hmm.
So
Um. So yeah, I guess from what I can understand from my testimony with what I'm talking about with this life that I lived, it was Joint Navy Space Fleet, which
yes.
is like the American, but also it's other governments that work with us, and
Hmm.
it's not called Solar Warden. That's just part of it.
Hmm.
It's just a
Solar
faction
Warden.
within it.
Solar Warden is just one little.
Yeah,
Mm.
and it's even you know pretty well known and well established knowledge that Solar Warden is west of the Oort cloud, and to the east of it is Radiant Guardian. So it's like a split up in half to where one part is controlled by Solar Warden and another part is controlled by Radiant Guardian. And all it is different groups. Radiant Guardian, if I believe, is stationed on Ceres, and then Solar Warden is stationed on both Earth and Mars, technically, but their headquarters is Fort Warden.
Okay.
Which I mean,
I don't know a lot about that part. People tell me I was in Solar Warden, but I have no
it's like
actual.
you said, they take your DNA, they can use you, they will,
Yeah,
and
I
they
have
do.
no. I, Penny, here on Earth, I have no memories of being in Solar Warden. I have been told by people who say they served with me, just like with the Montauk program that you were part of, people remember me and I have no memories. I have anomalies that tell me that you're telling the truth, but I still don't remember it.
Yeah,
I can pick the Montauk kids out of a lineup, which tells me you guys are right. I was there. I wouldn't be able to do that otherwise. I'm not saying you guys are wrong. I'm just saying I still don't remember it myself.
yeah, no, that's okay. I mean, there's more that I don't remember than I do remember,
Yeah,
and I think that's the case for pretty much all of us. Is that there's usually quite a bit more that we don't remember than what we do,
yeah,
and I think it's important for people to understand that that it's a very fill in the blanks kind of thing sometimes. Um, that's why I was trying to be very upfront about what I do remember about that life and how I can only go into it so much. That the rest of that story basically is my wife died somehow, um, very young. Our son was like 6 when she died. That was really tragic for me. And because of me having the son, and maybe it was just my personality too in that life or whatever, I don't know. Um, but I didn't ever move on and find a new partner. Um, from what I recall, I just accepted that I lost the love of my life and raised my son.
well, if you if you know that you are in space and you are supposed to live on a world as if you have always been there, it's really hard to find a real partner who understands that
Hmm.
dichotomy, the duality of it, and they will feel it as you withholding, and they'll think that you don't have a real relationship with them, and they won't commit to you. And
Yeah,
it's if you've signed an NDA and you have full memory of that life, you can only be with someone who was part of that life.
yeah. They didn't erase their memories. They just gave us a very nice life. And we're like, yeah, don't fuck it up because, life is nice. You can take it away from you as easily as we gave it to you.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it was nice. It was just, there were times where the weight of the lie, no one really getting to know who we actually are, little
Mm.
slips that would happen that you think wouldn't happen, but they did in the presence of company that you'd have to make up for.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
it's just weird. Yeah, it was just
I find that even in the here and now, that I have to be really careful because my neighbors think that everything having to do with my space life is insanity at best, or that I'm a compulsive liar. And I'm like, I have to not talk about this with them. I have to avoid entire areas of my life.
yeah, that's something that we all deal with certain people around us, is we can't really just sit there and talk about being a time traveler and going to outer space and stuff.
Yeah. Well, travel in space is time travel. And that concept is foreign for folks. And lately, I've had a lot of people think, well, if you flew the ship, you should be able to build one. Right. You use a cell phone. Does that mean you can make one? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really silly, and not to mention that even if you did know how to build the Starship, that's quite an expensive endeavor to embark upon.
Yeah. I have a friend. I've met him real world, and I know for a fact that he has built a ship and gone off world at least 3 times. And every time he's been caught and brought back and totally mind wiped, and he does it again. And every time they make him dumber, thinking that he's not going to be able to build a ship again. And I've been with him at least once when he made it off world, and we found this wonderful place. It had sandy beaches and it was warm, and you could sit on the shore and get your feet in the water, and it was safe, no diseases, and we weren't bothering anybody. And Solar Warden found us, dragged our asses back.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I was allowed to remember that planet, but it was.
I don't think they're in control of what we can or can't remember, and we're just worth too much to them for them to be able to give a shit about that anymore.
That's something else people have talked about is, why do you think you're worth so much? Because navigators are prime. A navigator that's human, at least looking, is so rare that some factions, like you talked about, you were applauded after a trip. I wasn't. It was, they didn't understand what it required. They were just glad I wasn't a Draco sitting in navigation.
Yeah, no, I remember them clapping. I was a bit of a freak, though. They did think it was weird. Like, I was not quite human, in a way.
Mm. Well, I've been on ships where the commanders flat out told me, "You're a Draco. You just don't look like one."
Yeah,
Um,
well, that's how the Draco even look at it.
yeah, they do. Um, Point. Um, Joseph Powell, nice man. His alter Pindar is a total pain in the ass. Um, Pindar ended up in trouble. We were rescued by a fire elemental who is part of my soul family. Yeah. Long story, not telling it today. Pendar decided to not come back with us to our ship. And the Draco Queen Mother informed Oberkommando that I was now in charge of the armada that Pendar had formerly had control over. And this confused me, and Matt Tracy told me, but you were the ranking Draco. And I'm like, I see. You know, I have this mental picture of myself as human, and I don't even think about that others see me as a Draco. I spent 5 lifetimes as a Royal Thuban Alpha Draconian. I was never queen, but I was a princess most of the time. So,
What is a Thuban, Draco?
Thubans are the ones that everybody else are calling Alpha. That's what they call their star, Thuban.
The ones with the wings and the tail?
Yeah, the ones that are humanoid dragons, yes. I
Okay.
was one of those for 5 lifetimes. The last lifetime that I remember, I died in a coup attempt protecting my queen and her consort. The consort and I were both killed, but the queen survived. She is now the queen mother. And that's why she says that she owes me a life debt. And she is personally making sure that I will die of natural causes and nothing else. So she's part of why the CIA hasn't been able to kill me. She's definitely why the Anunnaki have not been able to kill me. So
Why do you think that they allow us to live and do this talk? Do you think they just think it doesn't matter?
they think these are the last days before the planet is put through another cycle of destruction.
So they just
And
don't care.
they don't care anymore.
That's
They
what I
don't.
kind of think it is too.
Uh, all of the ancient religions talk about in the last days everything will come to light. That's what we're doing. We're exposing a lot of the stuff, and people don't want to think about it. We've had how much disclosure of the crimes have we had? The actual structure of life here. We've had all kinds of disclosure in the last 20 years. And people are still waiting for a president to get up and say ET's real. Well, he already did. Unfortunately, the Pentagon is still trying to put it in terms of angels and demons, but angels and demons are just ancient people trying to make sense of various kinds of extraterrestrials, interdimensionals, inner Earth, ultra terrestrials. You know, it's not just one thing.
I think the most important thing maybe to talk about right now that I don't see a lot of people talking about is the fact that all these servers, all these data centers
Yeah,
they're not so that you can talk to a robot on your phone or generate videos or images. This is an
no, they're not.
excuse. The tech billionaires wouldn't be putting billions of dollars into building Manhattan-sized data centers unless they had really big plans for them. And they're talking about all these people on the heads of these AI companies are quitting and citing that the AGI is about to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have, like you're talking about Obama and Trump and all these people saying that aliens are real and people are looking into that now more so than ever. And I think what we're seeing right now is, yeah, like literally the end times. I mean, it's just a new beginning, but what
It's
I
the end of a cycle.
what I foresee happening is they're gonna. I don't know the outcome, and what you and me are going to try to do, of course, and a lot of people like us are going to try to make sure that this doesn't happen. But what they want to happen, what all of these Epstein affiliated people, Trump, the Democrats, the Republicans, these deep seated people who are deeply involved and are part of the Illuminati bloodline and all that stuff, they've been manifesting this AI computer forever. The beginning of the AI revolution was simply banks and money because it's
Yep.
numbers and the computer revolves around numbers. That is the demiurge, the computer from the future, inventing itself and creating itself through retrocausation.
Yep.
And so the AI technically has been here since the invention of the bank and the invention of currency. In fact, something that's really interesting that a lot of people don't know about is people think that we created money as a means to extend bartering, to borrow things. But the
Most
reality
people
is a lot
believe
of
that.
scholars that actually investigate the history of this, anthropologists and whatnot, they say, there are certain ones who say that there's absolutely no evidence that it was for quantitative transactions and that it was actually we had blood feuds. Families had blood feuds and were trying to impress the gods. And debts originally were to cancel out blood feuds. And you'd work for a family or whatever to cancel off your blood feud so they wouldn't kill you. And
Mm.
that's actually where currency came from, is blood debts to the gods, not currency, or a way to barter things. It just evolved into that. It evolved into currency as we know it. But it started the whole entire concept. We didn't think of it until we wanted to have an excuse or a way or a loophole, a workaround to not kill each other. That's literally where it comes from. And they accepted it. The gods accepted it. And it was probably, from what I can understand, ordained by them.
The gods, the gods were never gods. They were, um, they were from somewhere else, what today we would call non-human intelligences, and they had their own agenda. And we were, I do believe we were created to be a slave race,
Absolutely. That's pretty
and that they
obvious.
do farm us as a food source, and that the tendency of the elites towards pedophilia and cannibalism comes from them. Um, I think we've got some really fucked up shit behind the scenes, and that we, the population, are going to have to do something about it, or it's just going to continue. And I think ignoring the Epstein files, ignoring the Podesta files, ignoring Mrs. Clinton's server,
Can I can
ignoring.
I can I bring up the elephant in the room when it comes to the subject?
Sure.
Are you familiar with the Unabomber?
Oh yeah, he was MK Ultra.
Do you know
Ted
the people?
Kaczynski.
Do you know that a lot of the people that he was going after are Epstein affiliates? Is what was coming out.
I did not realize that.
A lot of the people that he went after are in the files. And
I
well,
knew
let's
he was an
let's
absolute
look at
genius.
let's look at a certain
Genius.
pizzeria that was involved in a certain scandal in Washington D.C.
Mm-hmm.
I have friends who have played there, played shows there. Is that not fucking wild? And one of them, I won't name who it is, but kind of going back and forth with this guy. Played shows with him in the past, and I saw that he was playing there, and I was like, "Hey, man, no judgment. I get it. It's just like a venue on a Friday night. It's not whatever the hell else is going on. Who knows if they even do anything." I was like,
Yeah.
someday we as a community, like the punk rock community or whatever you want to call us, we're really gonna have to apologize for helping them sweep that shit under the rug, bro. It's kind of fucked up that we're still playing there. Like, I'm like, I don't judge you, but at the same time, is that not crazy? Does the gravity of that not hit you that where you're playing? And he literally messaged me, man, I have some shit that I could tell you, but I wouldn't want to say it over the phone or text you it. I'm gonna have to tell you it next time I see you. I don't know when that'll be, but I'll tell you about it. I was like, and this was after he played the show. And there's also this guy, fucking Flesh Simulator, who talks about all this crazy stuff and talks about Epstein files a lot. And he did an expose on that whole P gate, we'll call it, to kind of
Yeah.
not trip the algorithms as much. Although, yeah, whatever. It seems like the algorithms are way more lax these days, but we'll still be careful. But he did a whole expose on, yeah, when he played there, it was weird. And some people might not notice it at all, and others are looking for things and they're noticing things. But I just want to point out that someone did a thing. Everyone says that guy's crazy, and he ended up getting unalived. And so it's like, and so what it is we have a situation where the only people that do anything are lone wolves. They're looked at like they're insane, and there's just no unified thing. And if you do have a unified thing, the FBI or the CIA will infiltrate it, like the Black Panther Party, or like any revolutionary movement in this country that's ever existed ever. They'll infiltrate your shit. They'll circumvent it. They've done it to our community. They've done it to
Oh
the
yeah.
disclosure community. I mean, QAnon.
The disclosure community has been so infiltrated for so long that I'm really reluctant to talk with people that I don't already know. Um,
I am too. I
I
mean,
I get on shows and I pour my heart out, and then they make some sort of disclaimer about, well, the public needs to decide, and I'm just, or the next person they have on is so full of shit that I'm embarrassed to have been on the same channel. And so many of them have no discernment at all.
yeah, and you know what? There's this concept of discernment isn't really foreign to anyone in the community that we're in. Everybody knows about it, but the thing is some people think discernment means what information sounds the nicest and would be the most convenient for me if it were true. That's not what discernment is. It's
And
using your gut.
discernment is it true? Is it what should be being talked about? What is the source of it? Because a speaker can be speaking the truth as they know it, but the source of it is not someplace you want to hear from, especially if someone's channeling. Because since V2K came out in 1980, nothing channeled has been reliable because the CIA,
And
the
there's
CIA runs V2K. And did you hear about that in Iran people are converting to Christianity because Jesus is visiting them in their dreams? This is because V2K has advanced to the point that they can send visuals, not just sounds.
yeah, and I know a lot of these people that are talking to the Galactic Federation and all that shit. They're not really talking to the Galactic Federation. They're talking to some fucking CIA affiliated entity. And it's really unfortunate because for me, I went from a position over the past decade to where it sure seemed to me like the public was very uninformed. And hey, they're always going to be uninformed about certain things, but they seemed very uninformed and really not with the program at all. And the disclosure community seemed like kind of like a place to go where people understood things and were trying to do something about all this evil stuff going on, and or they cared. Or now I feel like it's almost like the opposite. Like the normies understand Epstein happened and that he was eating babies, and
They're not
so's
believing that.
I mean, a lot of them are. I mean, in my generation, around my generation at least, a lot of
Okay.
people are. They believe it.
I'm glad to hear that because my generation
Their minds are blown right now.
and
It's a weird thing to see.
the one below me, I live in an apartment complex, and these people are like, that's not real. They're making that up.
It seems to me like it's the older people who can't handle it. I try to tell a family member, I don't want to say who it is, but I just like message a family member kind of out of nowhere, somebody that I care about, respect. And I was just like, are you reading these files? Because, you got kids and
Yeah.
kids are reading it, da 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 da. I'm like, I just got to point out, like, we're supposed to be men. We're supposed to take care of society, take care of things, not accept certain things, defend kids, women. And, like, I was just like, here's some of the things in the Epstein files. Like, what are we doing? Right? Like, what are
Yeah.
we doing? And I
We're
think he
letting,
was I
we're
think he was
letting,
more mad about me telling him what was in the Epstein files without giving him a heads up or warning him than what's in the Epstein files. And I think that it's also like a thing where he probably didn't believe I was telling the truth. Like he probably didn't believe it. And
well, I've
it's
been following a guy on Substack, and he's been going through the files. And when he gives his presentation, he gives the file number so you can check it yourself.
which is important to do because there are people sharing fake files.
Exactly. And he found where Bill Gates and Epstein started in 2017 and started planning COVID. And the initial question that Gates asked is, how do I kill the poor? We're talking about deliberately murdering humanity.
Makes me think of the Dead Kennedy song. Kill, 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 kill the poor. I mean,
Yeah,
it's literal.
yeah.
Joel
Uh,
Biafra is not wrong.
yeah, this is really what's in them. Those who, you know, and the DOJ didn't even release half of them. There are estimates that there are 50
And,
trillion bits bytes out there
and I
of
think we could use
information.
common sense to assume that the stuff that we're not seeing probably is more damning and worse, right? Like,
Yeah,
which is crazy. Because the stuff that we're seeing is like, I rip off the heads and throw away the body. They're like shrimp, and he's talking about little girls and
yeah,
like um talking about, dude. There is literal talk of. I mean, this is important for people to understand. I'm gonna have to kind of be careful about my language here, and this is gonna trigger warning everyone. But I feel like this is important to understand. There's a part in there where he talks about starving babies and playing the mother's voices so that they suck more efficiently, and they were drowning babies with semen and then eating them. No
yeah.
one is mad enough.
No one's
No
angry
one.
enough.
No one is fucking angry enough. I don't understand what the fuck's going on.
I,
I'm
I I have read enough of them that I was throwing up, and I've been having episodes where I just sob uncontrollably, and and then I go online and people are defending these people, and I have
Oh, it
reached
was only like teenage girls, and that's not that bad.
yeah,
Which, even if that was the case, that's a really fucked up argument. But that's not the case. They were like they're literal children, babies.
the youngest one that was named still had its umbilical cord attached.
And there's also, he was impregnating little girls.
Yeah,
Little girls, man, that should be still playing with Barbies
yeah,
and learning about their bodies and stuff. And definitely not that way.
yeah.
One of the girls described her tread tractions as a tummy ache. Like, that's fucked.
That's
That's
all she had to
terrible.
compare it to. And these people I swear half the people on my wall have to be agents because they're defending all of this crap, and it's like they're deliberately antagonizing me.
I mean, I know what's going on. Like, I get asked by people, and I'd made a video recently for real. I don't know if you've seen it, but someone asked me about Carrie Cassidy talking about Trump's helping open the stargates, and he's a good guy, and Q and all this shit.
I've ended up
I
blocking people for telling me that Trump's a good guy. No, he's not. He's named in the files as doing this stuff right along with them.
what's amazing to me is that this woman, Carrie Cassidy, who I have known about her since I was a teenager. You know, it's kind of incredible to me that we know who each other are and that I've, spoken at a conference she spoke at. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, we both
And
spoke with
and I was
conference with her.
there's a part of me that wants to still be proud of that. But I'm not I don't care anymore because she doesn't have any integrity as far as I'm concerned. I don't know who's talking in her ear or what blackmail or dirt they have on her or what kind of money they're giving her, but I just don't believe that you could believe that unless you're stupid. And I know she's not stupid. So I'm just kind of wondering what's going on here. It's in the files that Epstein met with the dude from 4chan who started /poll, which started all the QAnon conspiracies.
Mhm.
And all it was a limited hangout. That's all it was giving people a lot of the truth, damning information, but through a veil and with stuff that's fake
Mhm.
to make the public, the front facing public, the people who, because of P-Gate and things like that, kind of had to at least glance at it for a minute, right? It made it look ridiculous. I remember
Well,
being there and I remember finding out about it. And I remember being like, and this was way further down, less far down the path of understanding how the fucking world works, the Illuminati and all that stuff at the time that this happened. But I remember thinking, oh, wow, this should definitely be real. This probably is real. And then I saw that it was apparently somehow only Democrats doing it, which I thought was really stupid. And I just kind of
um,
saw
the Omaha, Nebraska incident in the 1980s was only Republicans.
yeah, and what we're
They
getting at here is
had
sort of it's both parties
they
are implicated
had
though.
in the Omaha incident, they were trafficking boys from Boys Town to the Reagan White House. And the only people who went to prison then were the survivors who testified.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
both parties. It's anybody in power that thinks that they have absolute power and immunity. Anybody in power, whether it's church, whether it's government, whether it's the top of some corporation, these people think that they are beyond having to answer for their actions, and they think they're better than the rest of us qualitatively, and that they can do whatever the hell they want.
And this is the quiet part not being said out loud about Trump's followers and people who like Trump is they believe that what he's doing is okay. You just need to have a certain amount of charisma and money and stuff like that in order to be able to do it. If this kind of behavior isn't for the poor, it's something you do behind closed doors and you hide behind your pile of money, and they want to be like that person. That's why all these people that you see that are Trump supporters that say save our kids, save our kids, save our kids, they're constantly getting arrested for possession of child sexual abuse materials, trying to meet with minors. I think it just came out that the Jake Lang guy or whatever the hell his name is was trying to meet with a minor. They're always talking about how like, oh, they want to be transgender so they can go to our bathrooms and be with their daughters, but like these people are like all creating institutions and environments that they can thrive in and prey on women, like and little girls and boys, like the church is a perfect example of that. I mean, there's a part.
It's not
I
just the
remember
Catholic
watching a
Church,
story.
it's all of them.
I remember watching a story of a pastor at a church talking about how he had to bring forward that someone was abused in his church. A boy was abused, and he called this hotline. He's like, "Oh, good, they have a whole thing for this." And this was in California, the state that you live in. And he called the hotline, and they're like, "Okay, well, so what happened?" And he's like, "This boy is claiming he's abused." He's like, "What?" Okay, they're like, "Okay, what state are you in?" And he's like, "I'm in California." And they're like, "All right, well, give him some counseling, help him out, but you don't have to report it. Good news." He's like, "What do you mean I don't have to report it? Good news. What do you mean I should report it though, right? Like it doesn't matter
Yeah,
what the
you should
law is." And they're
report
like,
it.
"No, no." They're like, "No, we have. It was actually get this." They're like, "No, we're gonna connect you to the lawyers that are gonna handle the case if he does report it." So the church had it set up to where they were ready to defend the predators and had a whole number you call and lawyers on standby so that they could cover up sexual abuse in their church. So that's a real literal like thing that's going on.
Well,
So
this isn't new either, because I can tell you about a friend of mine that I went to high school with. She's dead now. I'm still not going to use her name, but I went to high school with her, and we stayed friends up until her death about 5 years ago. She married this man, and they had a couple of kids, and she caught her husband molesting her 2-year-old daughter. And she made him sign a document, and she divorced him, and she got full custody of both kids, the boy and the girl. She left the document with our pastor because we grew up in the same church. And it came time, her ex had remarried, and he was molesting another little girl. And she went to the pastor and said, "I need that document because I have to take him, I have to report him." The pastor had burned it because he thought it didn't matter. This has been going on for a very, 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 very long time, and it's every church, every synagogue, every Muslim, whatever they call their groups.
mhm.
It's every Abrahamic faith. It's also is in India. It's also in the Buddhists. It's anywhere where adult men have responsibility for a flock that includes women and children. I have come to the conclusion, okay, I want to say I don't hate men.
We should live in a matriarchal society though.
I don't think women would be any better at the top, because I'm
But
watching.
that's not how it works in a matriarchal society though. They're not at the top, they're just respected.
Okay,
And their
well,
decisions and their
I could go along with that if they're not at the top with power to abuse anyone. But what I have come to the conclusion that in our patriarchal world, that women and children have no value at all. And that's why we're not seeing prosecutions of the Epstein class, is because they only hurt people that don't matter, meaning women and children. That babies don't count as real people yet, and apparently cannibalism is okay. And since that's what's coming down at the federal level, I'm watching various states decide to make pedophilia a capital offense. And all I can say about that is I do know women and girls who make false accusations because they think it gives them power.
there are situations though where I mean it's proven. So I guess you just have to be careful about that
I, I,
punitive power there.
my thing is prove they did it and
Yeah.
then
Because
execute
it
them.
does happen, believe me, it does happen. I would love to say that it doesn't and it's a terrible thing. Because I
Mm,
mean it harms women who do actually get assaulted more than anyone, right?
yeah, it
Or
does.
children and etc. But
Because
it does happen
where you
occasionally,
can't
unfortunately.
they can't just automatically believe us because these vindictive bitches are out there doing this shit.
Mm-hmm.
And they make it harder for the rest of us. Now, I have a theory that those who falsely accuse should go to jail. That might put the fear of God into them. But
That would
then,
probably just get weaponized, right?
of course, it would just get
So,
weaponized like everything else.
I mean, it's already happened. It's like you said with the Boys Town case. The people who testified and said that they got harmed by
They,
these people got
they,
more.
went,
They were the ones who went to jail. And
they went
who
to
was the guy?
prison for 5 years for perjury.
Yes, and then the guy who was like in charge of the whole thing. He's got the same name as the fucking TV show host pundit guy. They have the same name. I can't remember. I'm having a brain fart, but you know what I'm talking about. The main guy implicated in this case.
Mm-hmm.
He sat way less time, and it was not for what he did to kids or anything like that. It was for fraud.
Yeah.
So he sat less time in prison than the children that he abused in absolutely horrific and heinous ways and trafficked.
Yeah.
And that
And
guy, I'm pretty sure he's still alive, walking around.
probably,
Probably works at a restaurant somewhere or something. Who knows?
but that's what kills me is these you know, I have watched for decades while predators would prey on women and children and they would get off scot-free and the victims would be punished over and over and over and over. And every time that the topic would come up again, those same victims would be punished again. And it has led me to believe that women and children are not valued at all anywhere on this world. And this was a realization I came to about 15, 20 years ago when I started looking into the Half the Sky movement. And at that time, it was because of the population control measures that Henry Kissinger had put in as part of aid to these various countries, that they had to keep their populations low. So they were sterilizing women, they were killing girl babies. And you have entire countries that have such an imbalance between the genders that you know they've been killing babies. Because when you have kids, it's 51% are male, 49% are female when they're born. So if it's not close to that when they're adults, you know they've killed the girls. Because, well, yeah, about 5 to 10% of the males will be killed because they have risky behaviors. By the time they're 30, you have an imbalance because of male behavior patterns. But if it's going the other direction, where there are more males than females, they have killed their baby girls. And that whole zone from 40 degrees north to 10 degrees south, all the way around the planet, has that imbalance because of Henry Kissinger. You have countries that a third of their male population cannot get married because there are no women. And those are the men that are going to Europe or coming to America and raping women.
Yeah.
In China, they refer to them as dry sticks. You know, the twigs on the end of a tree that goes dead and can't flower and produce fruit. They're dry twigs. That's what they call them. And when you get a country that has a lot of these men that know they will never have a wife, you start getting a lot of really violent behavior. There's a rage that builds up. And this is what we're seeing in the world today. You have single men immigrating, yeah, because they know they can't have a wife in their own country. Are they going to be an army here? Well, if they can't get a job and a wife, maybe.
Yeah, I think just in general, we need to teach men and boys to be better. Men have to lead by example across all cultures. Um, and I don't know what that looks like. Um,
I don't
it's
either because I've never seen it. I've seen men who would talk the talk in front of people, but
yeah.
behind the scenes they were just raunchy as hell.
It makes me think of this dude that I used to know that was like part of like a men's support group thing that like was supposed to, and it was supposed to be like we gotta like like be good to women and stuff. And then it came out that he was like a like abusive towards a much younger woman. And it's just kind of like what you're saying here is it's just like, yeah, very much so wolf in sheep's clothing thing going on a lot of times with this stuff. Um, but it's true. I mean, there's no better feeling as a man than having a woman in your arms and she feels safe. And I think that it's like you said, the fact that some men will never experience that makes them go insane.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the answer for that is. Maybe, like you said, they're killing women at a young age. Well, let's make sure to not do that so there are enough women around so this doesn't happen. But yeah, if I was from a place that didn't have a, any possibility of me having a wife, I maybe would try to move somewhere where I could have one too. Does that necessarily mean they're going to prey on our woman? I don't know. It's a whole weird kind of conversation to have, but regardless, if you come from a place that you just like a lot of these cultures, they don't respect women. They don't. It's true. And I'm not trying to be you know uh discriminatory towards anyone because there are wonderful people that come from these other
Mhm.
cultures, and I'm sure there are immigrants that come here and they find a wife and they're great to them and it works out and good for them. But there is a mentality among every culture across the earth. We can't claim that we can't opt out on this one. Women just need to be respected more. And so it's just that's the real danger. And it's global. It doesn't matter whether you're in
It is
China,
global.
it doesn't matter whether you're in China, Japan, the United States, India, whatever. Because we have a problem with American men going to fucking the Philippines for sex tourism and stuff like that. So it goes both ways. And yeah, it's just what a rough subject, what a rough conversation. Men don't want to talk about it. That's one of the things with the Epstein files that I find kind of weird. Like, not weird, but like, okay, you're you're not seeing enough men talk about it. You're seeing more women talk about it, and not that you aren't seeing men talk about it. There's a lot of men talking about it, but what's not being talked about is like, think about this, right? Like I see these comments online, just normal ass woman. She might look nice, whatever, just making a little Instagram reel, and then like there's guys saying, "Oh, I'd love to grape you," in the comments and shit, right?
Yeah. I block those people.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yes,
and
even at
even you
70
experienced it.
years old and
Fucking
60
crazy.
pounds overweight, I get that.
So what I'm getting at is, if a lot of these men that feel maybe like weird about being such freaks and creeps, they read these Epstein files and like, oh, this guy was fucking babies and eating them and stuff, and I'm not that bad. And maybe it's not so terrible that I want to I'm 30 and I want my girlfriend to be a 15-year-old or whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not eating babies. This is one of the dangers that I don't see being talked about with this is men are already fucked up enough. It's so fucked up, and they're reading this shit, and there's so many of these guys are like, yeah, they don't want to say it. It's the quiet part they don't want to say out loud. The elephant in the room with these MAGA people is they do know that Jeffrey Epstein and Trump were buddies and that they're fucking teenagers, and they're okay with it. And now that they're finding out not only was it fucking teenagers, it was babies and toddlers and shit. Now they're probably like, oh, well, I guess that's okay too. That's one of the things that's freaking me out. Is the bar was already very low societally for men and their behavior, and now they're reading the Epstein files. I mean, there's this guy Nick Fuentes or whatever, where when Trump won, he's like, "Your body, my choice," and all this shit. And he's literally making gear that looks like Epstein gear and selling it as like a troll move. And this is what I'm trying to reiterate here is he doesn't support Trump anymore, but until recently with Iran. But like, which is crazy. But anyway, these people literally want to fucking be like those guys. That's one of the things that I don't think is being talked about enough. There's so many men in this society that think it's okay to be like that. As long as you're not an immigrant from another country with a certain skin color or whatever, you need to have a certain look about you, certain sort of societal status, and then it's allowed. Then it's okay. You just need to have that power. And if you can't figure out how to get that power, you're too stupid and you shouldn't be allowed to just do whatever you want like that. That's something that's not being talked about is how many people are actually fucking okay with this. They actually are okay with it.
My fear is how many people are actually okay with it, and that's why there are no prosecutions. That's why people are saying, well, Trump didn't do anything wrong. He had a 13-year-old that he tried to force to go down on him, and she bit him, and he knocked her across the room for it.
I don't know if you know about the Sasha Riley testimony, but that's pretty wild.
Yes, I know about it, and all I can say is that what he says he did was justified.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, inserting a pole up someone's rectum after they've tried to rape you and have killed puppies in front of you. Yeah, I think that's justified.
Yeah.
I
just can't understand
I would consider it self-defense.
It's just wild to me how this guy has been like, how Trump, who went on TV and said that what he has in common with his daughter is sex. He has been the Superman of the Save Our Kids people. I'll never fucking understand that ever. I mean,
I have had people get on my wall on a post about the Epstein files and tell me, how dare I disrespect the president because he's our messiah.
Yeah, that's pretty much how these people think,
I end up blocking them because no one who rapes children is a messiah.
Nope. And he did. He does. And he's so obviously a predator. He's not even a wolf in sheep's clothing. He's a wolf in wolf's clothing, bro. How dumb do you got to be to think that this guy is the Messiah and he's going to help everyone and save everyone? He's a literal fucking ghoul. And these people, they love to be like, oh, well, what about Bill Clinton? What about Biden? Yeah, they're all ghouls, dude. They're all ghouls.
We haven't had someone in the White House who wasn't a ghoul since Jimmy Carter.
Yeah, that guy seemed like he was all right.
He's the only one since I've been an adult that I thought was a decent human being. The rest have all been ghouls and wolves. Every single one of them, no matter what party.
Yeah. It's been it's been a really interesting experience realizing that, you know, at a pretty young age and watching people cheer on these people like they're football teams. It's like they're football teams or like a basketball team. Like their dedication is so fervent. Like, you know, like I'll say, like, you know, like I just said, I'll be like, Donald Trump is a fucking piece of shit, right? Okay, stating a fact there. It's not even an opinion.
I was
And people will be like, "Well, what about Kamala and what about Barbara?" And it's like,
I was
I like those people. I don't.
I was checking the comments on our YouTube live. The people are following along pretty well.
Jimmy Carter is actually JFK. That sounds crazy to me. I don't know.
That sounds crazy to me too.
Yeah.
I saw all the stuff about JFK. This one, you're a time traveler. Tell us what to do to get us out of this mess.
Vote blue no matter who.
What? No. How
joke.
Okay, I understand that what we have to do is stop the digital ID, digital currency before it's implemented this fall.
Yeah.
We need to start prosecuting the people in the Epstein files. If under state law, if we have to, we need to prevent the global AI taking over.
Yeah.
We need to prevent the installation of the 10 Kingdom map that the Club of Rome wants. And that is the reason that Trump is trying to take over both Canada and Greenland, is because it's on the map that the Club of Rome gave him. I can send you that one in email too.
The Club of Rome thing? Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, the Club of Rome thing. Okay. Ark. Okay, and it's insert photo, upload, browse. It'll take me a minute.
That's okay.
But yeah, it's something that my tutor gave me and said it's one of the most important things that needs to be shared.
Can you explain to people who your tutor is?
Okay. In 2010, I had done my family tree, and I had several lines of descent from Robert the Bruce. And this 18-year-old kid contacts me and says, "You're really smart, but you obviously went to public school. You want to learn what you missed." And me being me, I said, "Yeah." And he's part of the group that runs the world. He's in his mid-30s now. He's always been good to me. And he never asked for anything until last year. There was a website of a legal firm that had been deleted, and he had a bunch of files from it, and he asked me to put them on my Substack. And I've been doing it. This is a map that goes along with that set of documents. And Trump is trying to create Zone 1. And there's some debate whether Mexico and down to Panama are supposed to be part of it or not. So it was originally split by language groups, but Zone 1 requires the United States, Canada, and Greenland to be one area. And Trump thinks he's going to be king of that. So
Well,
this is a serious map by the Club of Rome, and the map is from 1976.
so can you gonna go into a more detailed group like breakdown of who the Club of Rome are, please?
The Club of Rome is a group of people that most of the world calls them the Committee of 300, but they're really the Club of Rome. And they were organized in about 1968 in order to put the New World Order in place by 2000. We haven't quite gotten there yet, and I'm hoping we continue to not get there.
It seems like they're always pushing back their plans. Hopefully they push them back until they just don't ever happen, right?
We keep pushing back their plans, is what happens. People like you and me.
Yep.
So, at the time that this was drawn up, the eastern half of Europe was part of Russia, and that's why they drew it that way. And Japan is going to be its own zone, and China is going to be its own zone, and India and Indonesia will be one zone together, which is going to be difficult because they have different religious groups there.
What is what is the method behind, like, why do they want to do this?
Because they're going to make it one world, and those are the divisions, the regions, subdivisions for administration. The one thing that people really need to pay attention to is that purple zone 7. That will become Greater Israel.
I sure hope not. But I think you're right.
That is what Bibi is working towards.
Well, I know some stuff that no one else knows about them. They have a time program, and I've worked for them as a cyborg. And I got rid of a family. I had to kill every single last one of them. They're called the Vasaharo family. They're from Argentina.
Mm.
And I don't remember why or how, but the most brutal memory that I have in probably all of my... And, there's probably stuff I don't remember. I mean, there is stuff, but really probably the most brutal memory I have is I get this signature in my cyborg implant, heat signature, and I go in, and it's a little girl, and she's holding up a flower. She's between 6 and 8 years old. The information comes in on the robotic eye, and it says she's a red level threat because she's a Vasaharo. So I had to take her out. That's the horror of the programs.
Yeah.
Because I was a cyborg, so if I didn't, I would get electrocuted. They had an implant in me. So anytime I didn't follow orders, they would electrocute me. It was excruciating. So I just had to do whatever they told me.
Yeah, you do have to do what they tell you. And most of the time the altar doesn't know right from wrong. They just know orders.
That was under the direct orders of Bibi Netanyahu, by the way. I remember being hung on the wall, probably recharging me or whatever the hell, because I'm half robot. I'm being repaired and whatnot. And he looked up at me and said, "You are my greatest creation, my son.
Oh, cute.
You're my greatest creation." And he said something about we have harnessed the power of the sun, which I'm really starting. It's starting to hit me more and more that I really am like connected to Ra because of memories that I've been getting back. Um, Sorry if I'm just like going on a rant here, but another memory that I got back, which as you can only imagine, Kat was there, and it was like probably like a horror show for her to watch me get the memory back. It was probably freaky. Um, I wake up in a coffin, and I can hear people around me chanting and weird stuff going on. And they open up the coffin, and I can remember certain people being there: Hillary Clinton, Maria Abramovic, Michelle Lemmy, Maeve Musk. It's the Mothers of Darkness, and they put me down on a pentagram and do all this weird shit, and they chant about consuming the body of Christ and atoning the spirit of this or the power of the sun or some shit, which makes a lot of sense now. Apparently, I'm like related to Jesus Christ, and yeah, they eat me alive, and they do this. It's like on a full moon, and they've done it multiple times. Um, yeah, it's pretty bad. And yeah, I remember Hillary Clinton holding my intestines in my face.
And it's not just one party either, because baby Bush's daughters are now Mothers of Darkness.
What's the new Mothers of Darkness?
Uh, Baby Bush, who was president in 2000, his twin girls are now Mothers of Darkness.
I also got a really interesting memory that regards to Hillary Clinton, and it's hard for me to go into the details of it, but she had a daughter in the breakaway colonies. She's out there, and I'm on a starship, and I'm sort of courting with one of her daughters. I looked it up. It's not her daughter. This is a daughter that doesn't exist on Earth, but it's her daughter. And I remember like we kind of liked each other, but it was like one of those things where I remember the moment that I knew that I was stuck with this fucking woman, dude. And I don't know. The memory is kind of blurry, but like I just remember like when my father, Carl Emmerman, saw me with her, the look of approval that he had, and he was sitting at the dinner table talking with Hillary. And there's this look
I'm
of
glad I
approval.
don't remember him.
Yeah, there's this look of approval, and also this was all a power move. He knew that Hillary hated it, and he loved that. Fuck, he's like a conniving motherfucker, dude. Seriously, man. But
I'm
anyway,
glad I have no
I
recall of him at all.
I was stuck with this woman for quite some time. Don't really remember how it all ended. Um, just a lot of edits and things with my life. So, because in the original, like I also remember from the timeline that I guess would be the original. I don't know, and I wonder if this is from B because there's A and B. When one like there's this reality and there's A and B, and I lived lives in both of them, so maybe that's part of the discrepancy here. But I mean, I remember my wife being Evelyn, who ended up being my trauma twin, I remember that. And I remember that she was going to get married to this dude who had red hair and was like this commanding officer kind of guy. And she didn't really want to get married to him. And I could sense that. And I remember that she cheated on this guy with me for a while. I remember I would tip off the security guy to run a loop during when we would meet in the pool room. There was a pool room. And I remember, and like I always tell you, the emotional things is what they can't erase from me. And it's like, and I remember like it being a whole fucking thing when people found out that we were together, and the commanding officer was a thing where it kind of disgraced him. She disgraced him or whatever, but I mean, everyone had to accept what happened. My father's Carl Alberman and shit. So it's like no one's gonna fuck with me like that. Like I kind of had certain privileges. Well, in the same way, certain expectations that I had to adhere to all the time. It was like a blessing and a curse at the same time. I had to be the fucking best or nothing. But anyway, um, yeah, I ended up with her and lived a whole life with her, and I remember that. And um, so these are like two different. I don't know if it's like I sense that this is like A and B now that I'm kind of realizing this as I'm talking to you. But yeah, like um, and from what I can understand too, it's all clicking.
Okay.
Because me even being over here has to do with the Mothers of Darkness and some sort of weird ritual that the Mothers of Darkness and he did. It had to do with incarnating human gods into human form, and Project Ibis, and Michael Aquino was involved and all that. They're
Um,
all involved in that.
that was Project Oak Tree per Max Spears.
Project Oak Tree, can you elaborate on that?
Uh, Max Spears talked about it in his last presentation at the conference where he was killed. He was talking about that it was a program that was using DNA from mummies to reincarnate the old Egyptian gods, and that they were really trying to incarnate Lucifer. And they got a whole bunch of other people instead, which makes sense. They were using human DNA. But that he didn't get a chance to go into it in any depth, which I assumed he would have done later on in the same conference, but he ended up dying instead.
Yeah, that's too bad. And that's the first time I think I heard the Oak Tree thing, and that's interesting because Wood is my last name that I was given, and I don't know. There's something going on there with that, and Appleton and the apple and the biting of the apple. There's all this weird fucking shit going on that I haven't figured out yet. I mean, I
Well,
call you mom now. Like, think about that. Like, because I believe that if you were responsible for creating me, yes, my mother in the here and now raised me, and we've both talked about it. She deserves all the credit in the world for being my mom. She's my mom, but at the
yes,
same
she
time,
does.
you're my mom, right? Like, and
Yeah,
that's just like a weird. Like, this has been a whole journey figuring out that some weird fucking U-boat captain Nazi guy is my dad that I've never met in this life and I'll never meet. He died the year I was born, technically, which is interesting. Have I ever told you about the conversation that I had with him?
no,
The last time that I talked to him, the very last time that I talked to him, other than I think that I've seen him in the here and now because time travel is weird. But
yeah,
like
time travel
on,
is very rare.
on the way his way out of this universe, he was in a wheelchair and shit. And I went to him, and because we did all these edits, And I remembered my original life, which I was talking about with the wife that I met, with the swimming pool and all that, and my family. And I was happy in that life. And I found him, and he was the fucking guy who was pulling so many strings, you know?
Mm.
So I was like, you need to tell me how I get home. So I wanted to get back there and be with her again and be with my kids, and be with my family, and be in my life again. And she's like, good luck with that one. Whole conversation was in German, by the way, of course.
Of
But he
course.
was basically like, good luck with that. Um, he's like, finding your reality that you come from, and to me this settles the argument. People can say whatever they want. People say there's only a few realities, there's one or two, there's however many. This is what the old man, as everyone calls him, the guy in the programs that, I mean, this guy was doing so much shit, dude. Like he knows what he's fucking talking about. And maybe he's being facetious, though. He also would lie to people to try to take advantage of.
Yeah.
But what he told me was there are more realities than grains of sand on all the beaches of Earth and all the planets that you could imagine and all the stars. And he's like finding the reality you come from. And I remember this being, because I actually kind of thought he'd be like, oh, you just do this thing, do this, and psh, there you go. Bye, son. Sorry I fucked you over so much. No, it wasn't like that at all. I kind of actually thought I'd get like answers that would maybe help me at least a little bit. But that's not what happened. And I remember the emotional weight of him telling me, I don't know how you get back there, dude. Like, and I'm telepathic. I wouldn't know if he was lying. He was telling the truth. And yeah, he's like, there's more, like, it's like looking for a needle in a haystack, except harder. You trying to find your reality. And this sick motherfucker literally says to me, best chance you got. Give me a second. Best chance you got is you find a reality where you're with her and you kill that version of you. And you replace him. And then you can be with her. That's what he fucking told me. The woman that he fucked up all my entire reality with these programs and all this shit. It's his fault I wasn't with her anymore. In my eyes. That's all I fucking cared about, dude. Was her and wanting to like it's the, and yeah, I'll never fucking forget that, dude. He's just like, just find the reality where you're from and kill it. And then like that's in Rick and Morty, by the way. I'm sure you've never really sat down and watched it, but
I
there's an
have
episode
never
of
watched Rick and Morty.
there's an
No.
episode. It's a lot of disclosure in it. And I think it's the government trying to do a speed run on this current generation to get them to understand a lot of concepts, and like it's like a speed run on all these concepts in disguise is what I feel like. Seems like a dumb show, but it's actually like, anyway. There's an episode where they fuck up their reality. The reality is just fucked. It's not safe to be there anymore. Long story short. So they go to another reality, find they themselves they blow up in a garage. They go right there after like they didn't kill themselves in this reality, but like they found a version where they died, bury their bodies, and then they just like live the life in that reality. And that's basically what my biological father Carl who is Inky, by the way. That's what Inky told me to do. Inky told me just go to some reality where you're with her and kill yourself and replace you. And then you can have what you want if you want to be with her that bad. That's fucking insane. And I'm not a very good actor. Like, I don't know. Like, I was real tears telling you that. Like, I literally
Yeah, I
cried
know
telling
that.
that story.
I know you did.
I miss, like, my family. And what's messed up is this is all these different versions of me. I could say that about all the multiple families now that I've remembered having. Multiple families, you know? And that's just probably the heaviest weight of it all in these programs. I have memories of children that I don't know where they are. And some of them have failed miserably. At least I feel like I have. And then I have brothers. I'm going to be respectful and not name their name, who apparently have done terrible things to that I can only begin to comprehend and maybe would never want to remember because I love this person. There's people that I love that I've hurt so deeply that they won't talk to me anymore because of things that have happened in these programs. People that I care about very much so. And yeah, it's just a fucking lot what we deal with. It really is the weight of it all, and it's just like, yeah, it's so hard to understand. Like I got I, I blew up on Instagram. I got 36,000 followers on there now.
Wow.
Yeah, and what's frustrating about it is everybody's like, so what's your story? Can you explain this? And I don't know if you know about Instagram, but like it's 3-minute reels.
I don't, I'm not on Instagram because there was someone who took my profile. Because you automatically get an Instagram when you have a Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a hacker who took my profile and then came to Facebook and was going through my friends list and scamming them. And in order to stop that, I had to completely block Instagram. And I've told people if it's me on Instagram, it's not me.
Yeah,
Because
I
then
was almost gonna delete my Instagram, which is weird. It's almost like I feel like that was a weird trick to get me to stay on it, because
yeah.
I just feel
Well,
with Meta and with
you're
Instagram.
lucky because every time I hit 5K followers somewhere, I get deplatformed.
I mean, I'm waiting for that, but at the moment, I personally think that the things are about to wrap up. We're reaching the end of the play, and karmatically, the they believe that they have to show us everything,
Yeah, they do.
and they're using me. This is what's fucked up.
Like they've been using
Me
me.
me doing this is fucking exalting them as their karma in
Uh,
their eyes, and I think they're fine
actually,
with it because of that.
actually, that changed about a year ago. They no longer get their karma absolved by dumping it on someone else.
It only makes sense, because I've been talking about this for a while now. They got loopholes.
Well, they had
There's these
loopholes.
loopholes. Exactly. They had loopholes, and they're
They
using loopholes.
had loopholes, and the loopholes have been closed.
And I'm hearing a lot of stuff too about. I talked to Audrey Walters, and she was telling me about how a lot of the ambassadors for Earth didn't know what's going on. And this makes so much sense. Because think about this. Okay, so like the ET are getting like a little wrong. They don't know what's going. Like they're getting the wrong story as to what's going on, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. They have these ambassadors that are like MK Ultra or whatever, and that
Mm,
makes sense to me in the context of some memories that I have. I found this woman who's on TikTok, and she's this black girl that's blind, and she talks about astral traveling. She shares her thoughts, whatever. She has a lot of followers, more than me, I'm pretty sure. And I remember her being at Montauk, right? And
yeah.
I remember that when she would be able to communicate with certain ET, but they were positive ET that we wanted stuff from. So get this, I had an alter. I think his name was Andrew or something. I think it was Andrew, who was in a different part of the base, located somewhere. I don't know exactly where it was located, but I didn't know about Jacob, and I was treated better, and she was treated good, all on some psyop shit, because they would send us to go talk to ET and do diplomacy type things, and they would telepathically talk to us,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't want them to see all these people got assaulted as children and electrocuted and da 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 to even have these abilities and be able to talk to you like this. They were like covers. And one of the things that I've been learning about galactic politics is even the ET get psyoped and confused by our fucking leaders here and people on Earth, and they get sucked into trying to figure out what the hell's going on sometimes, which is crazy. You would think, no, they're ET, they're aliens, they must know what's going on. It's like, no, our culture's so different than theirs, and we're so different than them, and they got their own thing going on. And sure, some of them might understand what's going on, the ones that are deeply invested in here, but from a galactic, big picture kind of thing, like, I don't know. You kind of get what I'm saying here, like.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I interact with a specific set of ETs, and I have shown them what's going on and told them there is no way in hell that humanity is ready for interaction with them. And I show them a character, Billy Bob, from my subculture. So this is my people I'm describing, and that he's driving this pickup truck, and he's got a pair of shotguns in the back window, and he's going along, and he sees this ET ship, and it lands, and he shows up and greets him with both shotguns. And I go, that's what you're going to have to deal with if you come here. That almost half our population is a variation of that. They are fundamentalist religion. Their religion takes precedence over what they see, and they are basically hostile. And I explain to them we are a predator species. That's what we are. We are a meat-eating predator species that dominates one another. That's what our entire planetary culture is set up on. That he who dominates most runs everybody else. And I tell him, this species is not ready for contact. And I explain to them that the people here don't know anything about the people that are already in space. And they're just like, how did they do that? Ah, they did it. So it's been a trip trying to explain American humans to a species that thinks that humanity is supposed to be united. We're not. I showed them the interactions.
And we're very allergic as a species to the concept of a global government
Yes,
because of the fact that the ways that they would love to implement it in things, it's really hard to figure out. Because technically, we should have a global government. That would actually be great. But the
if
one that they
we
want
had
to build,
if we had a global government with the mindset that we have now.
and respecting everyone's territories, but also kind of, we breathe the same air, share the same water. When ETs come to us, I don't want to talk to 20 different people, right? It'd just be nice to have a galactic, like a representative of the Earth that we all figure out together, you know. And I think that's one of the things that moving forward, if we fucking ever would be able to, that would be great to see, is a global kind of getting together, but also respecting each other's regions and spaces and cultures, and not trying to like make everybody exactly the same or something like that. I don't know.
Well, one of the problems that I've seen is the Guardians, the Stasi of the space, the galaxy, have explained to me what they would want in exchange for teaching Earth how to be a galactic citizen. Okay, you have to give all requirements of life to every sentient life form, regardless of whether they earn it or not. And sentience means they look in a mirror and they know it's them. And that would include a lot of species that humans don't want to consider their equal.
Yeah.
And like
That's
dolphins and whales and elephants and bears and wolves and various forms of the big cats, and they don't, humans don't even want to give each other that. I mean, they're fighting in Congress over whether they can cut the school lunch money.
yeah. I think we might be cooked sometimes, as they say in my generation. I think we're cooked, maybe. I don't know, but I try to be optimistic.
I've thought that for a long time that we're cooked,
But then all of a sudden, here we still are. You think it'd be over by now, but we're still here. So maybe we should be optimistic.
I have come to the conclusion that 3D Earth that we live in is the top level of hell, and that it's hell on purpose.
Yeah, I think so.
When,
I've been
when I
talking about this a lot lately with
when
people.
when I came to this conclusion, everything suddenly made sense, and I'm like, so what did I do that I belong in hell? So okay, we're at about 2 hours
Yeah,
now,
yeah, we
and
should probably wrap it up.
people are going to get tired of listening to us ramble.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to do this. It was good. Thanks everyone for being here. Um, yeah, kind of just nice conversation to have. Something that I'd be interested in talking about in perhaps the nearest future that I've been wanting to do forever, and I told myself I would say it in this interview to maybe solidify the thought and idea, is talking about V2K and like all this artificial memory and how they screw with people and make people believe things. Kind of doing a deep dive, and that I'm not sure if you're familiar with Barry Littleton, but he's talked about that a bit on Jessica Jones' show. And I've reached out to him about maybe coming
Jessica
on.
Jones, no. Barry Littleton, yes. I do
Okay,
know about him.
okay. So yeah, he's talked about some of the things that you've talked about. Kind of that's why I think it'd be interesting to have a conversation about it, because he's talked about the V2K, the artificial telepathy, dream infiltration memories, and all that weird stuff.
Yeah.
He's talked with me about it when we've been on panels together and things like that. And yeah, I think that's important, and I personally want to learn more about it to protect
Okay.
myself too, and help others protect themselves and stuff.
I
So
have a collection of files about it, things I've downloaded over the years. I can send you all that.
all right, perfect. Well, thanks again for coming on the show, and
Thanks for
yeah,
having me.
I'm gonna wrap it up and let you get on, yeah, and get going. And thanks everyone for being here. Much love. Goodbye, everyone.